Judge, today is Jeff's birthday. Turns 43 today. Not the best way to celebrate his birthday. He's taken responsibility for his conduct. As the court knows, Jeff is 43. He has two daughters, a 6-year-old daughter and an older daughter who's attending school. You have a letter from her, and you have a letter from a number of other people that know Jeff. And the thing about these letters is they talk about what kind of guy he is. Very helpful, very compassionate guy, there if you need him, do anything for you. And they point out some of the circumstances where he has done things for people. In owning this bar, Kate's Bar, that he's had for a number of years, it really provides his income. And he's had a number of employees there that he's actually took care of during the pandemic. He did a lot of things, went out of his way to make sure people, had what they needed to get through the pandemic, had jobs or had money or food and things like that. And again, I point that out, and that's in some of the letters you have there to get an idea what kind of guy he is. He got kind of caught up owning this bar where people come and they drink alcohol and do other things, and some people some of his patrons were doing drugs, predominantly cocaine. And he got involved in making cocaine available to certain people. And doesn't deny that as a big mistake. Just kind of got caught up doing it and continued to do it, and realizes it's something he should have never done and how it's going to destroy his life and his daughter's life and his little 5-year-old daughter who is in kindergarten, and how he's got to deal with telling her where he's going to be. He's had a couple of semesters in college. He's a low-risk scorer. He's got a father who is a police officer, a brother who is a police officer presently. So he has some good examples in his family as to what should be going on. And this has been a real turnaround for him in his life. He and on behalf of him and the state, we've entered into an agreement which we know doesn't bind the court, but we've entered into a joint agreement for a recommendation of 18 months, and he realizes this court can give him whatever the court wants to do on these things. I guess what I can say about Jeff is I've not known Jeff for a long time, but the period of time I've known him here, he's been very remorseful about his conduct, very concerned about his family, concerned about other people and his friends, how it's going to affect them. He is forfeiting $50,000 in addition to some monies that they did find at the bar. The $50,000 represents kind of his interest in the bar. He had to give up the bar, and so he no longer has that for a source of income. By giving up the bar, he had to say goodbye to some of the people that worked at the bar, some of his friends. So it's going to be a total change of life for him. When he gets out of prison, which he will someday, he has plans to go into real estate. He has dabbled in real estate in the past, but it's going to be quite a change for him. So he's prepared for whatever the court gives him today. I believe he's got a very low risk score. I think we've looked at some of the criteria under the Ohio Revised Code for sentencing. He is remorseful. Tell the court how remorseful he is. He indicated that in his pre-sentence report. It's nothing that I think had any dangerous, it didn't injure anybody, but he does realize the risks of engaging in any sort of drug trafficking or drug sales. The amounts that he did actually sell to people were F5 amounts. There were drugs at the facility, at the bar. They were kept in a shared room, and he's taking credit for it, but I think other people had access to it also. So we're gonna ask the court to follow the joint recommendation if the court will. I know that Jeff would like to approach there or talk to the court also.
Mr. Myers, what do you want to tell me before I impose sentence?
I just want to apologize, everybody. I let down the burden I put on family and friends that are here, that are not here. To my daughters who need me and are not going to have me. And I never want this to happen again. I'm never going to allow it to happen again. I just apologize to everybody.
There were, I think, 6 different buys here, right?
I thought there were, I thought we pled to 4 different buys, Judge.
Yeah. Pled to 4, there were 6 that were done.
Right.
Before the search warrant was executed. So how long have you been selling drugs out of the bar?
It was those isolated times. I mean, a few times in those, it was mainly just helping out a friend.
But it was a confidential informant that set you up, right?
Right.
So how did that person know to go to you to buy drugs?
It was my brother's boss, and I was just helping out a friend. I was helping out my brother's boss, essentially.
Your brother's boss.
Yeah.
Who's that?
The guy, I forgot his, what was his name? The informant's name, I forgot his name. It's, what was his name? Do you have the information?
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Kurt, it was Kurt.
A call is placed to you to buy drugs from you, and 6 times they place this call, 6 times they buy drugs from you. And those were the only 6 times you ever did this.
Essentially, they were all isolated incidences. I was just helping out my brother's foreman, yes. He'd reach out to my brother and ask if there's someone that could help him out. And I knew that there was someone at the bar that I could also grab it from to help him out. So I told him, yes, I would help him. And being my brother's good friend, I thought it would just be a quick situation. Like I said, they're very isolated situations. It was.
Well, who were the other people in the bar that you were helping out, kind of going as a go-between?
Just customers that are at the bar that are no longer been around. They don't come around anymore. They weren't really even friends per se. They were just people that were there that I knew that had the capabilities of doing it.
How long had you been letting Horn and Bush operate out of there?
I don't. They haven't been around in 2 years.
Well, this all happened 2 years ago.
Right, that's what I mean. They've been
How
around.
long had they been hanging around?
They were
with
probably
you?
hanging around there for a couple years prior to that.
Okay.
No, I don't know what they were exactly doing. I mean, whatever they were doing, I had no knowledge of, and I didn't really.
You didn't know that Bush was a pretty prolific drug dealer?
I've heard things, but I really didn't affiliate with him that much. To me, he was just a customer. I just.
See, your whole story in here doesn't ring as being true.
I mean, I've heard of what he's done, and I know about him, but I didn't affiliate.
Talking about what you have said in this thing. It seems rather unbelievable that a CI places a call to you 6 times, and 6 times you sell them drugs. Then the place is raided, and there's a bunch of cocaine in there, some weapons that you really had no knowledge of, right?
They were in the shared room, yes.
Okay, shared with who?
The shared room is with every other business in the whole building.
Right.
Multiple businesses.
Okay. So that wasn't really yours then?
No, I mean, it was partly mine. It was all the other businesses so the whole building is broken down into 4 separate businesses, and all of those businesses shared that room.
Okay. Which other businesses?
It would have been a yoga studio.
Which you had frequent access to, right?
Well, no, not frequent access. It was connected to the shared room. It was on the other side of the shared room.
So anybody that wanted to come in the bar that rented one of these other facilities could get into your bar through the shared room?
Just a yoga studio. Then it was also connected to the trophy shop. Technically, I guess the trophy shop would have been able to have access. And then there was a 4th business that didn't have access to the bar through the shared room.
There was one or two occasions where the CI called you to arrange a sale.
Yes.
And either Horn or Bush were there to complete the sale. Why was that?
Oh, because they were the ones that had it. So I might not have been there. I didn't really want to do it because it really wasn't, like I said, something that I did. It was just isolated incidences, but I thought I was just helping out somebody, which was stupid. So if they were there, it was probably them that ended up handling it because I was not there. I was trying not to even do it. I don't want to be any part of it, but being my brother's foreman, I just thought, okay, I'm just helping out my brother real quick. Not, I mean, stupid, but.
Why wouldn't you have just referred him to Bush or to Horn? Say, I don't know, I know nothing about that stuff. Here's these two guys, you can get it from them. Why not do that?
I mean, because I don't think they would have trusted it at first. I wasn't thinking that's what I should have. I mean, I should have done that. I shouldn't have done any of it, to be honest. You know what I mean? But in that scenario, yes, I should have. Instead of me being the middleman, all I do is playing middleman.
Yeah, well, see, this just isn't believable.
What do you mean?
What I mean is I don't believe you.
Well, that's what it was. I was playing middleman to them guys and to my brother's foreman. And I could have just directly introduced them to each other, but I don't think they wanted to meet somebody new, and I don't think that's how they wanted to do
Well,
it.
if Bush and or Horn were dealing drugs out of this bar, and your customers knew that, why didn't they just go directly to those guys?
Well, these guys didn't know each other. This is my brother's foreman lives.
I'm not talking about the foreman. One of the things that you said is that customers that would go to your bar were interested in getting drugs, and and Bush and Horn were frequently there, right? Dealing drugs?
They were there, yes.
Okay. So you were acting as a go-between. Why were you acting as a go-between with customers?
I would act as a go-between because they didn't know. Not everyone knew each other. Like, they didn't know every single customer, as far as regular bar customers.
See, this Bush and Horn
Right.
have worked a bunch of these bars all over the place. Okay, so
Okay.
you knew that.
Yeah.
Right? If your customers were buying from them, they knew that. So why are you just being this nice guy go-between to satisfy your customers?
Well, I wasn't to everybody. I was only doing it to certain people. I was only helping out a couple people. I was never involved with whatever they did. I was never involved with all their day-to-day transactions with customers.
Why do you say you're sticking your nose in the business of Bush and Horn with other customers, with your customers in the bar? Why are you sticking your nose in that if you don't know nothing about nothing?
Just trying to help out my brother's friend. That's what I mean.
Well, your brother's friend, you're saying, is a CI, right?
Right.
I'm not talking about the CI. I'm talking about you making the claim you're a go-between customers in your bar, customers, not the CI, and Horn and Bush.
But I only did that. It was only a couple times. It was just small, isolated few incidences. It wasn't an everyday occurrence. It wasn't a continuous thing. That never went on like that.
All right, so you weren't keeping cocaine in the yoga studio either?
No.
Okay.
No, then they all had access to that room.
Who's they?
Bush, Horn, all of them.
How did what unit did Bush and Horn rent in that?
They didn't rent any,
What's
but they
the
were
four
friends
units?
with the yoga studio.
Okay.
They were friends with the owner. They were also friends with the other owner
What other owner?
of the yoga studio.
Who's the other owner?
I forgot her name. It was, it's written down probably somewhere too. What was her name? I don't know if her name is written down there. Lola. A lady named Lola. So she was the owner of the business next to me who also had access to the shared room. So they were all friends with her. One of them might have been dating her. So there was multiple ways to get into that shared room. One of them was also through the
Did you
yoga.
know there was cocaine in that shared room?
No, I did not.
You didn't.
No.
Did you know there was cocaine in the yoga studio?
No, I did not.
You didn't go over to the yoga studio on one of these occasions and grab some cocaine and bring it back and sell it?
I went over there, but I didn't know anything was in there. I just went over there what I grabbed.
What do you mean you grabbed?
What I grabbed for the CI.
Okay, so you knew there was cocaine there.
Well, what I had on me. Like, I didn't know if anything stored there. I didn't know anything about marijuana there, weapons. I didn't know anything that was stored over there that these guys had over there.
Okay, you went over to the yoga studio, got the cocaine, came back to the bar and sold the cocaine. Is
No, no, I met him in the yoga studio. He was in the yoga studio.
Why did you meet him in the yoga studio?
It was just quieter, not as, you know,
Why not in the kitchen? Usually we're doing this stuff in the kitchen, right?
Yeah, there was occasions where that's where it was.
So
but
why did you do it in the yoga studio?
I think it's because there was less people around at that time. It was just quieter. It was just where I went. I don't want to be around people.
What else you want to tell me?
I wish I had never done any of it.
Well, you did.
I know. I mean, nothing I could do about it. I mean, I did what I did. I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't help out anybody. I wish I never even hung out with those guys. I wish I didn't meet those guys. I wish they never came out to my bar.
Well, if that's true, then you would have kicked their asses out of the bar when you knew they were selling cocaine, wouldn't you? It's your bar.
Yeah.
So why didn't you kick them out?
I kind of overtook it. It got to a point where there was so many of them, and it was, I don't know how to explain it, but it was almost harder to, it was hard to control that many group of people. There was a lot of them up there every single day. It was hard to.
Selling drugs?
I mean, not just that. I mean, just being in general, just drinking, hanging out, playing rap music all day, doing whatever they're doing, living that kind of life.
You knew they were selling drugs, right?
I mean, I knew that's what they did. I didn't watch. I knew
Now,
that's.
see, you can't keep.
Well, yeah. I mean, I knew.
When you start lying, you can't
Not
keep
lying.
straight the lies because you told me that you were kind of a go-between for
Yes,
Bush and Horn and customers, right?
Yes.
So you knew they were dealing.
Yes, I knew they were
So
dealing.
why did you let them deal out of your bar?
I didn't let them deal out my bar.
You knew they were dealing out of your bar, right?
To an extent, yes.
To an extent. To what extent?
I knew they're doing a little bit here and there when I would ask them to grab it for the people.
Okay, so why did you let them do that? That's my point. It's your bar. Why did you let them do that?
I don't know. I guess just bad judgment call. I mean,
And if you couldn't do anything to control it, why didn't you call the cops and say, I got guys dealing drugs out of my bar. I like my bar. I like being the bar owner, and these guys are ruining it. Get them out of here. Why didn't you do that?
I don't know.
Your father's a retired cop. Your brother's a cop. You knew you could do that, right?
I just want to deal with the consequences of them finding out. If they found out I called the cops on them, then I have to deal with, I don't know what the consequences.
You're the one that put, according to you, you're the one that put yourself in that position by letting them do that.
Yes.
Now, I don't believe that. I believe you were right in the thick of things, selling. Okay, I don't believe you only did it 6 times and you did it to help buddies out. I don't believe that. It's just that it's not a story that's believable.
Okay. It's the truth, I'm telling you.
All right.
It was never my thing. It was always their thing. It wasn't my thing.
All right, anything else you want to say?
No.
Mr. Geigerich?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just would acknowledge that Mr. Perez handed me the remaining part of the forfeiture this morning. And we'd ask that the court impose an 18-month agreed sentence in order forfeiture of the contraband, the weapons, and the currency of all the instrumentality was seized at the bar. Thank you.
So is there additional currency that was seized that you're talking about, or is that part of
Yes,
what?
there was a total at the bar, I do believe, of $11,000. It's total of $52,741.26 being forfeited, Your Honor.
There was $11,020.26.
Yeah.
Taken from the bar. And
From the storage area,
No,
Pardon?
right?
from the safe.
from the safe. And the money was all bar money, but yeah, that was money was seized.
But it's a total of $52,000.
Correct. So the concept is, Judge, that of the $52,741.26, they seized $22,741.26. The remaining money is all part of the $50,000 that we're giving to the Lake County Narcotics Agency in lieu of them taking the bar. So the 27,
Taking the bar how? How are they taking the bar?
Well, I think their concept was the bar could be a, criminal premises that they would be able to seize because criminal activity was going on there.
They recovered $2,741.26 from the defendant and $8,479 from the office. So it was a total of $11,220 were seized in the search warrant, Your Honor.
Okay.
But he's forfeiting $52,741.26.
So who owns the bar?
What's that, Your Honor?
Who owns the
His
bar?
mother owns the bar, but the bar is being sold, and so the bar, as indicated, was previously going to be sold to somebody else. For a number of reasons, they backed out of the deal, which caused him an issue as far as getting all the money that had offered. It's now being sold to somebody else at a lower down payment, and it's also a requirement of the Liquor Control Commission that the liquor license be transferred out of his possession.
All right, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report and the letters that were provided by Mr. Perez. I've considered all the provisions in 29, 29, 11, 12, and 13. The thing about you, Mr. Myers, is that it's apparent to me that you were pretty extensively involved in this case. And you pled guilty to these charges. And Mr. Perez had indicated you're taking responsibility for this, and you're not taking responsibility for it. You're saying that you were just a middleman, you did this on 6 occasions, and it was Horn and Bush and whoever else. I don't believe you. Okay? I don't think you're taking responsibility. I think you're trying to minimize what your role was.
No, I was.
You're trying to minimize your role in this thing. Okay? And so you're not taking responsibility for it. Just pleading guilty doesn't mean you're automatically taking responsibility for it. So I'm not going to adopt the joint recommendation of counsel. I'm going to sentence you to 24 months in prison, and you pay the court costs, and the items subject to forfeiture are forfeited. When you get out, you might be on post-release control for up to 2 years under the parole authority. If they place you on post-release control, they'll put conditions on you. If you violate their conditions, they could return you to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. If your violation is a new felony, you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for the violation, the maximum of which would be the greater of 12 months or the time left under post-release control. Is there anything else, Mr. Geigrich?
Yeah, how are you allocating that, Your Honor?
24 months on the 3 and 12 months on the rest, all concurrent.
Thank you. He has a fine though too, Your Honor, mandatory fine.
Of how much?
It's $10,000, so it's a minimum 5, but he can waive it if.
Judge, we'd ask the court to consider the amount of money that we forfeited in lieu of the fine.
Well, I don't know that I can do that because it's a mandatory fine. So why don't you file a affidavit of indigency?
I will.
And then I won't sign the entry until that affidavit gets filed. So
right.
I'll impose a $5,000 mandatory fine, but it would be waived upon the filing of an affidavit of indigency.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're adjourned.
All right.